what do you think the response of the Palestinian people will be to all of these events? Is it unifying? Is it in any way constructive in opposition to Hamas? Is it divisive? Talk a little bit about your expectations there.
Let's look at it realistically, Ian. We know what happens in war. We know what happens when people suffer so dramatically every day of their life. And we saw what's happened in Israel just after the horrific attack, how people's hearts hardened so much that many in Israel are calling for leveling Gaza. And look at the results now with, thousands of Palestinian civilians being killed and wounded, and up to 300,000 as of today have been rendered homeless. People's hearts get hardened. And so what happened is, even if people don't like Hamas, people and most people in the West Bank and maybe even in Gaza don't support Hamas's agenda. They're mostly secularists. They want a different kind of life. It's not that they embrace them, but they want somebody to do something. And unfortunately, their hearts harden. And we lose empathy for the other. Everybody does. It's painful to watch. This is the most heartbreaking thing for people like me who are watching this, who don't differentiate between Israeli victims or Palestinian victims. They're all victims, civilians, helpless civilians being killed. It's a very painful moment.
More broadly in the Middle East, we haven't been seeing, you talked about the Abraham Accords. There's not been much focus on the Palestinians, either whether you talk about the governments of these countries or even if you talk about the Arab Street. Certainly I can see the Saudi-Israel deal being put at the very least dead on arrival for the time being. But beyond that, do you think the Palestinian issue now becomes structurally much more important across the region? And if so, how will that manifest?
Yes, in two ways. First, you're right in pointing out that Arab governments may have different interests than the Palestinian issue, and that's what drove the Abraham Accords. It's what drove the Saudi calculus. But make no mistake, the Arab public still cares about the Palestinian issue, and obviously it hasn't been a top priority for a lot of reasons. It's not on the agenda. People have preoccupied with other things. Now this is on the agenda. It's hard to ignore. It's impossible. The level of violence as of day 5, we had 12,000, day 6 today, 12,000 people between Palestinians and Israelis wounded or killed, and obviously it's going to rise. This scale of destruction that is taking place is going to propel people to focus on it, and they are focused on it. You can see it in countries that have already made peace with Israel, like Morocco, where there are demonstrations saying end of normalization. In Egypt, so you have people who are doing it. That's going to obviously cause pause to those governments who want to move. Doesn't change the strategic calculus. They're going to have to weigh in. That's one way. The other way is that, we can have huge expansion of violence here. If in fact there is a ground war that brings in more homeless and more deaths in Gaza, it's impossible to keep Hezbollah out, even though Hezbollah doesn't want to get in. And if it's drawn in, it's a whole different size, and it could also bring Iran. It could also bring the United States. So we are talking about possible regional expansion beyond Gaza.